Hi everyone. Welcome to VCTV, the Venture Capital TV from LATOKEN. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the Regional Director of LATOKEN. I host VCTV every day, Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. Singapore time. So we have other sessions as well, other shows as well. As we all know, just in case if you don't know, we have sessions in US time zones, UK and Asia time zones. And we are also having multiple sessions in Asia. Yeah, so what that obviously explains the sort of the need for interaction, sharing of information that has brought us to this level, because we started off in February 2020 because we couldn't travel across the world doing our road shows. That's when we started VCTV, and since then we've just grown in terms of size of the community of speakers, founders, investors. So yeah, it just gone bigger and bigger by the day. And with your support and your sort of commitment and your interest to speak, so we have grown as well because of that. So yeah, so that's about VCTV. That's about me. So I've been hosting this ever since then, and I just love it and love speaking to you all. I really appreciate your time as well, and you keep on coming back. Today I have 3 regular speakers. We're going to talk about education tech, online training, and online school. So this topic is, I think, probably spoken in every household right now, considering India is in lockdown and UK was in lockdown. There's a big economies in lockdown. What happens? Education is something that is a big part of our lives, right? So this topic is very interesting, hence, so we'd like to know more from each of you. What happened in 2020 since the beginning of this year, how things are shaping up, what's happening in each of your region. So let's have a good session over here, so that because we have founders, we have entrepreneurs who are looking to raise funds and meet sort of with you guys as well to seek some funding, some help. There are a lot of the different ways that they can sort of collaborate with you. So first, I see on my Zoom lobby, I have Fabio, who is coming back on VCTV after a while. I think he was traveling in Europe. Hi Fabio, welcome back to VCTV. How are you today? You're on mute.
Hello, I'm glad to be back. I'm in Europe, where it's snowing now, so thanks once again for inviting me. It's always a pleasure.
Great, Fabio. So because we're going to discuss this topic today, we would like your introduction to our audience as well. If you can help introduce yourself, your company, and how you're associated with this topic in this sector, so that they have a better idea.
I'm an economist by training. I'm a PhD from the University of Chicago, and I started my career at the International Monetary Fund. Then I moved to European Central Bank for the launch of the euro, and I started a career in the private sector in Goldman Sachs, London. Then I moved to the Arabian Peninsula to work for sovereign wealth funds and government and semi-government asset managers, first in Qatar, then in Dubai, and at the end of my stint in the Arabian Peninsula, I worked for 8 years as the chief strategist of the Oman Investment Fund. Now, I took a share in investment bank and asset management in New York, with offices in Dubai and Hong Kong. And what we do, we have a fund which invests in listed or about to be listed companies, and we have an advisory for startups and grow-ups. Essentially, we help them with system to list on the over-the-counter market in New York or in the capital. So that's what we do, and we cover a lot of sectors, including education.
Okay, great. Wow. So many hats, Fabio. Thank you and welcome back. I mean, we're going to be listening many things from you in the space as well today. Thank you so much for that. I really like your background. Thank you. Next, I see Kartik. Hi, Kartik. How are you? Happy holidays. I just came to know you got a 1 week long holiday in Dubai. I'm so sorry. I was trying to contact somebody in Dubai. I didn't realize you have a week long holiday. Welcome back on BCTV.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I think it's the 14th or the 15th time. An hour ago, I was with Terence on another show. So it's always a pleasure. And I really appreciate the kind of work that you guys do. To give you a background about me, I wear multiple hats. I run a large business for a large family business here in the retail space. I am an advisor to a lot of startups and mid-sized entrepreneurs, and I'm an investor and investor into a few businesses. And in this particular space, I'm an investor as well in the in the edutech space, primarily into the home tutoring business. So
Right.
there's a business that we've incubated, and it's almost gone live. So that's why I'm here representing both sides, entrepreneurs as well as investors.
That's very interesting. Home tutoring is a big, I think it's a big business, or I would say big industry in Singapore as well, where I live. Thank you, Kartik. Now, last but not least, we have Riti joining us back in Cambodia. Hi, Riti. Welcome back on VCTV. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me again. This is a pleasure to join a panel with wonderful people from around the world, Fabio and Katik. Hope someday when we run out of COVID, then you can come and visit Cambodia. My name is Riti. I am a co-founder and currently CEO of Kumpi, a company that building both software and hardware as a notebooks and operating system based on Linux operating system. What we are trying to do is to build one package for education device where students can have one complete laptop with a full software that powered by open source. And we also build our own applications, sort of like an online school that allows any school, private school, public school, government school to set up, create their own school on our platform. So this is currently being in the test, and we were about to do the MOU sign with our Ministry of Education yesterday, but then the COVID reignite again, and then we had to delay our signature, agreement. But the point is that we are trying to provide computer with full-blown operating systems and open source operating system and the software that come with it to push the boundary of students to learn more effectively on their own with others or with teachers.
Great. Thank you, Richie, and welcome back. And obviously, COVID has affected many of us, like you said. I can hear myself. If you can mute, if you're on any other sessions open, you can, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Riti, for that. And yes, it's okay. Well, I'm looking forward to visit you in Cambodia after things open up between Singapore, and we have green zones between Singapore and other parts of the world in Southeast Asia. Looking forward to. Thank you and welcome back. So great. We are done with the introductions of our speakers today, and I'm happy to be sharing this panel with three speakers who are deep dived into this space. And I'm really looking forward to get some, sort of enriching content coming from all of you today. I would like to start with Fabio, who I see first on my Zoom lobby. Fabio, please take us through the journey of this education since what happened in 2020, where are we right now? Where are we headed to? And, so let's start with this, then we can go to other questions. Thank you.
Well, I'm not seeing anything particularly new, asserting that one of the biggest changes or the biggest factors during this pandemic, at least in Europe and in the US, has been the closure of schools and then the need to shift all education activities online. Practically, without advance warning. And I have the experience, I witnessed directly in Italy, the sudden scramble to give every student from elementary school all the way up to university access to online education. So there's been a lot of challenges, to put it mildly. I mean, for example, not all students, especially in poor families, have a computer. Most have even an internet connection. Older teachers often didn't know how to use a computer. There was a survey done for teachers in the Naples area, in the Naples urban area. 74% of them had problems with the computer, just connecting, operating an online software like Zoom or Google Classroom, whatever. A lot of them had problems with printers. A lot of them didn't have a scanner to digitalize educational material. So suddenly the online education has taken center stage in most families, in most countries, and we discovered that it's not easy, starting from the technical standpoint and moving to the teaching technique is not an easy feat. So there is a lot to do. There is a lot of room for improvement to furnish each and every student with the right tools to teach teachers how to use these tools. But there is also another dimension which pertains to the way we approach online teaching. It's different from in-person, it's different from the typical classroom. And this is something that has been underlined over and over during months. Teachers and students say, well, online education is different. It's not the same thing. We don't learn as much. It's difficult to focus on a screen for 4 hours without any interaction with our teachers or with our classmates. So, and this is true. This is absolutely true, because teaching online is different from teaching in person. And these techniques, the presentation, the way you engage students, are things which deserve attention and need to be thought thoroughly and refined with practice and with experience. Want to say the last thing, which I will come back later. Online education has now, the one wall has been removed. One obstacle to online education has been removed. So now everybody is aware of it. Now everybody knows that this will be part of our future educational system. So from this awareness, we need to develop how the future will look like, how the online education and education more generally will be shaped over the next decade or and further down the road.
All right. Thank you, Fabio, for sharing those opening remarks about online education. I think yes, a lot of changes are going to happen, as I can see that myself as well. I'd like to know from Ritti what's happening with his startup, because Ritti, you cater to people in Asia or only Cambodia or Southeast Asia. So where are your users are global, and how do you? So what's happening with your platform right now, especially with the lockdown? You're on mute.
So we currently only focus in Cambodia. We believe in working with a smaller market that we can manage before we think about growing, because Cambodia, in a way, small enough to start and test with, and at the same time, it's at the stage that familiar with other countries like Burma, other part of South Asia like India, Bangladesh, Nepal, even in Africa. We are somewhat in the same level. I'm talking about underprivileged students that are mostly in around the world and still under school or going to school or in high school and secondary school and primary school. So these are our target audience, but of course we are focused in Cambodia, and currently the market in Cambodia, we look at about 3 million people. We only right now penetrate a very small market in this, a small population of 3 million. It's like under 10,000 people we're working with now. The indirect population we work with through school partnership. So Kumpi as a laptop and device we provide to school partner in 13 other schools as a test market, and then we allow people we allow the school to buy Kumpi and to use it at that school. Those who work with us, we then hire one student that graduated from either IT or any kind of degree. We train them in computer, like Fabio said, that many people do not even know how to use computer, and it's very hard for anyone to suddenly need to use a computer. And learning online doesn't work with smartphone. You can watch video, you can learn many things, but you cannot input the input back to teacher. So it requires the computer, and we basically believe that learning requires a full laptop since the early 2008, before the COVID. But people will not really agree with what we try to do until COVID comes, and then many schools want to work with us in the computer, like take the computer into the lab and into the school and sell to their students and all of that. So yeah, currently the solution we provide at the first hand is to work with school that want to work with us and train their teacher and their students at the same time. Our what we call our facilitator or educator stand by at the school at least for 1 year, and we partner with technically 20 something school composed of around 170,000 people that we work with indirectly. Although the school close and open make it very hard for the students, because not everyone have enough money to buy our computer, even though it's very low cost. We sell at around $150 per notebook. And I'm talking to you on this computer now, and not using Microsoft or Mac. It uses its own OS. So this is what's going on, and people are now relearn how to use the laptop with the student and the teacher.
Okay, so you are just providing the hardware, which is the laptops to the schools, or do you have any online, or do you have any software that also goes into this laptops or any
Yeah,
online
we do.
education? Okay,
We do.
besides
So
that.
so the hardware itself, we bought pieces together in China, and then we assemble in Cambodia, so that we make in Cambodia.
Mhm.
Final production in Cambodia, and the software, the operating system, the thing that runs the laptop, also made in our office right here, and the applications for learning also made here. So we provide a full package out of the box learning learning tools. This tool alone, not just for learning from in school, they also can build mobile applications and other applications. The goals of this device and the project we are trying to promote is to encourage more the next generation of developer to become an engineer-minded people, so they can solve different problems, not just learning from what teacher told. I mean, it's quite agreeable in this group, I think, that teaching is not working the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Students learn based on what they interest, and then the student can get advice from the teacher, but the student have to go explore their own of what they can do with what they've been told, and explore more further using internet connection. So we provide this tool for that, and then there are some what's called SDK, Kumpi SDK, to allow people to learn how to build mobile application with Flutter, for example, and then this is more technical side. Those who are in high school, grade 11, grade 12, in Cambodia we have 11, 12, then they can start to learn how to build a mobile application, web application, other systems. And the learning platform that we provide have a progress tracking for the teacher, also for the student themselves to track what they know or what they have learned, as well as build up their resume. Technically, it's like a mini early stage of LinkedIn profile
Wow.
inside the application. So the student can, build, learn and build the application based on what they learn, and then they can submit the code, the application. If it works, then it can go to the Kumpi App Store, which is run on a new type of app platform, not using a APK, but we're using what's called WebAssembly. And then the code they can choose to store on GitHub. It's more like bringing the open source tool to teach students to build open source software, and then code together with their peer.
So what grade
Although
are you talking about? Which grades? What grades the
um,
students for?
so we are now working. It is in a pilot mode. We are now working from primary school, grade 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and first year, second year university. But our target audience are from age 14, age 13 to age 18. These are the main target audience.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Richie, for sharing that business model and with us so nicely. Next, I move to Karthik. Letty, you can put yourself on mute because I thank you so much. I hear myself talking. Karthik, thank you. Karthik, over to you now, please.
So, from an observer point of view, I would go with what Fabio said. None of us were ready. We were actually pushed. And online education is primarily an COVID baby, as we call it. Sanitizers are a COVID baby, and so is an online education. And I have a different perspective. While the teachers were not ready and the academic institutions were not ready, neither were the students ready to receive an education in this manner. Typically, the entire and technology follows lifestyle is the way we are used to seeing, or technology only eases a way of living. Now, in the education space, there is technology that is coming in. I mean, the space is in a very nascent stage, though, But I see, and we are working on what we call as a whiteboard development technology, specifically for mathematics, for biology, for economics, where kids need to write a lot of formulas. They find it very difficult to use either Excel or any other whiteboard platform to communicate even with the teachers. So that's one technology development that we are working on, and I'm specifically invested into that. Second platform that I'm currently working on as a evaluation tool, or evaluation is an examination tool. Everybody has found solutions to Zoom or to LO or to Google Meets as a way of delivering education, but nobody has found a way to evaluate what has been learned, primarily in terms of matrices or in terms of replacing the legacy examination system, specifically in the Asian subcontinent, where examinations were written on paper and were invigilated by supervisors. Now, when you try and replace that with a multiple choice question, you might be able to replace a lot of questions, a lot of formats with a multiple choice MQCs, but you cannot get away at a formative stage of a child's learning curve in terms of getting away from the examination. So trying to build an examination platform where you evaluate a child's learning through gamification, through AR, through thematic and schematic appreciation, which they might sound big to us, but in all we know, all we care might be just an application or a diagram or an object that the child needs to understand and code and comment about, is what we are practically working on now. This requires a lot of investment in terms of learning, cognitive learning with different schools, different age groups. So it's a 2-year investment, already sunk in around 6.5 million into it, and it will take up another 10-15 million. What also we see continuously changing and finding difficult is the content development part in the education space. We talk about teachers learning to use a device, but then those things can be done over a period of 1 week, 2 weeks. If I teach a evaluator or a teacher how to use a Zoom connection once or twice, he would learn it. But what is important is the development of that content. What is typically taught in a class may not be taught in the same manner when you have 250 kids from 4 different states joining, or 4 different regions coming across. You have language barriers, you have understanding barrier, you have social barriers that come into play. So developing or democratizing content that appeals to everybody else is one lot. And then most important is making it affordable and making it bite-sized, because primarily what Fabio said and what Ritti is trying to work on is amazing. If you're able to make a computer available to somebody at $150, I think you're doing a great job. The challenge that we see is typically where we're primarily invested in a few African countries and Central India is about availability. So we are trying to make the entire platform bandwidth agnostic, which means it works on low bandwidth, it consumes limited data, and it can be operated from handphone as well. So taking the education from your classroom to the TV screen, to the computer, to the handphone is a journey that is long. And that is where we currently are invested in. From a very senior and secondary education, or from an executive education point of view, I think LO has come in as a huge boon to all of us. I deliver classes for INSEAD. I used to travel 4 times a year to France to deliver classes. Today, I travel 20 minutes to Abu Dhabi and I deliver my classes and I'm done with it. So it obviously has made my life far more easier. Personalization has increased at a secondary school level. Personalization has increased significantly, but at a primary level, still there are a lot of challenges, especially in kids from age group of 3 to 7, where formative education needs to be built. Personalization and adapting an education to a child's ability to understand or comprehend is something that a lot of e-tech businesses are working on. But that's where I am operating in this space, actively invested.
Okay.
And I love this space.
Yeah, a very interesting space as well, Karthik, as you share that. Do you think it's become more efficient while you are not traveling, but still delivering the content, being in Dubai and traveling in 15 minutes?
Absolutely. I would say, to give you a commercial perspective, I would have spent at least, and in all my travels, I told you in one of the programs, I used to spend around $2.5 million a year for 300 days of traveling across multiple businesses. Today, I can do the same thing by traveling not more than once in a year. And I don't travel, and still the business runs. I would have had to travel to one of the TV stations to appear on your show. Today, I can appear on your show on Zoom. That makes the life all the more easy for me.
Absolutely.
I obviously miss the classrooms. I would have loved to shake hands with those management graduates at INSEAD, but then, that's a trade-off that I'm happy to make. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's quite a lot of spending in traveling, Karthik. Thank you so much.
I do that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we're like half an hour into the show, and let's talk about investments. So I'm going to start with Fabio first. Fabio, let's talk about the recent investments that's gone into the education space, especially in the technology space, to benefit the education, to bring the education to the masses. And while in the lockdown, everybody is not accessing, physical classrooms, be it primary school or be it the higher levels. So how has technology been an sort of accelerator, I would say, in that way? And what are investors looking for? Which kind of technologies they're looking to invest in? Because obviously we cannot separate education from technology, especially in these times. Over to you, Fabio.
Yeah, let me just start by saying that the technology per se has been around for a long time. I remember when I was at the IMF, we're talking about 25 years ago, one of my colleagues was an economist working in Washington. He was teaching as well a course at Harvard. Okay, he had essentially a software through which he could do classes if he wanted to. He could do office hours. He could essentially do all what was necessary for online teaching. There have been video conferencing software and hardware in most boardrooms for decades now. The real impediment to use these tools was psychological. So once we've been forced to use them, then we realize, oh, we have everything. Oh, we have Zoom. Oh, we have Google Meet. Oh, look at that. We can do this. The one common features of the, say, conferencing software in boardrooms was that very few people had ever used it. Maybe they had used it once or twice when they got it installed, and it was always a pain to get them to work, to connect them. Anyway, what is now necessary once this psychological barrier has been shattered is a business model. Now, obviously, if in public education, the paymaster, if you want, or the market is the government. So you need to provide services which the government will be willing to purchase in terms of hardware, software, and everything else. Not sure whether this will be a particularly lucrative sector. What we're looking at is the private education sector. And here we need to establish a business model, which as of now has not been shaped yet. But I can give you an example of an investment that I'm personally looking into and about to deploy capital in, which is called Strive. Strive is a school, okay, for programmers and developers. So they select out of a few hundred applications, 60 people, which will follow a course of 6 months online, so completely online. They'll graduate. The school will assist them to look for a job, to find a job, and then the students will repay with, say, 10% of their salary for a period of 2 or 3 years. So this is a business model which definitely can be appealing, because It targets high salary professions, people who wouldn't mind to pay, who would make enough money to pay 10% of their even initial salary to cover the cost. And therefore, we should look at that as a possible investment model. Another one that is also quite, we're looking into it as well, is a school completely online, teacherless school. So it's a course of 3 years. So it's not like the typical, 2 weeks or I don't know, half a day course. No, it's a 3-year program in which students do not see a professor. Everything is done online. So the lectures are done via computer. So, and it's a problem-solving approach. Okay, you're supposed to ask a human only when you really don't understand what's being asked of you. Probably is I don't know if it's really extreme. It's definitely, I don't know, for a philosophy degree, I wouldn't recommend it. But for technical education, this could be a very good model.
Right.
The last model would be, and I haven't seen it yet. I know that there are some initiative in this area, but the next one would be the sale of courses. Okay, so we know that you can take courses in programming, in economics, in everything, and you pay a fee to download the lectures. In my view, this kind of initiatives will have a too low barrier to entry. In other words, this will be commoditized quite soon, and you have these online lectures that cover, I don't know, dance lectures to whatever, self-help courses and everything else. I would not invest in this particular area unless
Right.
something that puts it aside, that makes the initiative stick out from the crowd.
So Fabio, so you are investing in an offline school, physical school, and an online school, if I understand correctly, or you're only investing in the
Online.
Oh, okay.
Online school. Physical schools. I've seen a few proposals when I was in Oman. I make sense, but they were the ask price, the valuation, in my view, was totally out of our parameters, at least.
All right, then thank you, Fabio, for sharing those insights. Next, I'd like to ask Riti, because obviously our founder and entrepreneur community are asking, what are the best practices that Riti followed to get that much needed funding or investors' attention, or so Riti, over to you.
So we are lucky we don't have to look for that funding yet. So far in the last 2 years, we have been self-funded through our umbrella company. But at the same time, we make the initial investment to make the product. The hardware itself then sell to the user, and then the return on investment through the sale of the laptop and the notebooks and the other service that we provide, then this reinvest back into the project. Although we can't really scale at the moment in this time in specifically, I'm working on the scaling approach and looking at like high-profile investors such as in Singapore, Golden Gate Ventures. We start the initiate the discussion with them to see if we can how we can get the funding to build, instead of building 2,000 laptop at a time, we could then scale the volume to 10 to 100,000 laptops, so that we can get even lower price. And how to do that, I don't know. I'm just talking to people all over the world, asking their advice, and then asking for problems that may exist in their community.
You already
and
have
see
Karthik who's interested. Sorry to interrupt, Ritu. You already have Karthik.
Yeah.
What?
I definitely like his
Okay.
idea. I like his idea.
Yeah. So we I'm also talking to Sokovia, because it looked like Sokovia like crazy idea, Sokovia Capital, and we want to focus something that seems very crazy out of the market. Out of the perspective of the public, because everyone asks me, why do we build a laptop? Because Mac already built a laptop, and Microsoft already have the laptop. But we look at the global population that will be going to the workforce are about close to 4 billion people, and these people need to go to school or somewhat go to education. And if they go to education, learning online, they need to have a computer. And the future will need more engineer, developer that can write code, those who can manipulate the keyboard to get things out of the box. Technology is not everything, it's not a god, but technology is a tool that could potentially solve many problems that could speed up the solutions that come to our face. Like, for example, if there are 3 million users, 3 million students that are now forced to learn online and learn about technologies, learn about many things related to COVID, that might something magical can rise. A new way to solve the problem of COVID could arrive very quickly. But this is one maybe not follow along example. Currently, we don't want the money to press on us so that we can't do things. We do invest in user and partnership very heavily, that sometimes our umbrella company shareholder look and say, well, this is like not return on investment clearly. But we look at the long term, it's like, if we can grow our product and our notebooks with the students that are now 10 years old, 15 years old, when they go to work, they will need to use our machine. This is like a 5-year, 10-year investment. So this is how I see things, and I'm not sure it's going to work, the high-risk investment.
All right. Thank you, Ritu. Next, I have Karthik. Just you can put yourself on mute, Ritu. Thank you for that, Karthik. I just want to know that. So, what are the best practices you're looking as an investor to invest right now? So we have the hardware element, we have the software element, now we have the technology element as well. But what exactly are you going to do? Because as Fabio rightly said, technology, we always had those conferencing tools back before COVID, but I never used them, right? We had Zoom before that, but never used them because we didn't feel the need to. So as per you, what's that unique differentiator you're looking at in a founder or an entrepreneur startup that will make you like, oh, this is something that I would like to explore and invest in future?
So there are a couple of things here, and this is exactly what the venture capitalists felt 15 years ago when people started investing in e-commerce, and nobody had an idea how to evaluate this business because nobody had done anything about it. So we were all in a blind, and more often than not, again, we find ourselves in a blind because this is an industry that nobody has thought would grow. I mean, the growth has been what should have been in 100 years has happened in 100 days. I completely agree with Fabio. I'd never use Zoom, and I'd never use Microsoft Teams for all I care. I mean, I would rather take a flight and go than to use Zoom. But investment pivots in this are a little different, unlike, and I would not wear a capitalist hat at the moment. I would rather wear a human hat at the moment and see that I would rather look at this not purely from a social commerce point of view, but from a democratizing education point of view. So I would not invest, and I would definitely stay away from investing, or I would rather discourage investment, which is purely from a capitalistic point of view, which means I want to develop some product, I want to develop a content, I want to make quick buck out of it, get out of the business, sell the business. The typical valuation game. I would definitely not go into this. I would go into a business where somebody is building it for long, trying to enable education, because the industry, both the parent, the child, and the teaching community, all of them are going through a massive transition. So if you are out there to genuinely help, make a difference, create content which is easily digestible and chewable and executable, create learning platforms which are low cost and affordable, because you're not trying to reach out to people who can buy a product from a supermarket rack, or who can buy a product online. You're practically reaching out to every child who needs to be educated. So pricing definitely needs to follow certain government regulations, and people, only those people who actually price their product at an affordable, snackable level would survive in this business. People who try and make their products expensive and try and create the gimmicks of subscription models, pay annual and you save 20%, 30%, 50%. This is not a typical discounting subscription game. This is about education. When you try and talk about primary education, it definitely needs to come in from the heart. First thing that one would look at in trying to identify investors, is he really trying to build a business, or is he trying to take valuation game and sell the business? That's the first thing. Second, is his product democratizing education, which means, can he create a mass appeal? Is this product usable across the platform? If only people who have multiple software, who have hardware arbitrage or software arbitrage or bandwidth arbitrage can only benefit from it, then the product is not scalable. It has to actually make an impact at a grassroots level. Mm-hmm. Third, is the product trying to bring in different learning and personalized learning to a child? Because that is where the education industry is moving. A child, different, when an online session of 200, 300 kids study, system needs to enable every child to be focused on as per his or her strengths and weaknesses, and not disperse the same level of education, which is where some of these educations that is coming in from e-players in India is continuously failing, and which is where the valuations, what the valuations were in June, July versus the valuations now in October, November, have almost dropped by half. Because what was a trend in the past, what was a necessity at that time, what became a compulsion at that time, has now, people have suddenly realized that there are better options available which are far more encompassing and far more diversified. So from an investment point of view, these three. From a venture capitalist point of view, obviously, is it going to bring me long-term returns? How easy and how scalable it is, and what kind of entry barriers do we see into this business? Because today, out of every 100 opportunities that come on the table, typically 40 to 50 are in the EduTech space. Everybody wants to get into the EduTech space. Everybody wants to start with $10,000 investment, go create a proof of concept, come to a venture fund for $100,000 investment, have a dashboard available, show matrices, come in with technology that was always available in the past but is now being used for education. So the investment matrices change. I see a lot of investments here coming in specifically in the vernacular education space, and that is what excites me a lot. Specifically in the Gulf, let's say, Arabic is a widely spoken language, and Arabic has 47 dialects. All 47 dialects mean absolutely different to different kids. You cannot have a child in Syria who's a 5-year-old child learn with the same dialect who learns in Saudi, who learns in Israel, who learns in Oman, and who learns in Jordan. So democratizing and creating education at that level is first investment trends that I see. I see a lot of investment trends in creating an aggregation or portfolio of academicians. There were in the past learning centers that could only be absorbed or could only be exploited by people living in the neighborhood. But now with the e-learning modules available today. The tutor platform the home tutor platform that we have started building makes education available at $3 an hour per child on
Wow.
subjects that he wants to learn. And we've already built 208, 209 tutors in 7 subjects across subcontinent India and Pakistan to make sure that every child who moves onto that platform can learn. And that too, if somebody wants to subscribe for an entire curriculum, the course comes down to as low as 40 cents an hour for a child. Now, when you reach to that level, you're talking about bringing in 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million children into 20 hours, 40 hours, 60 hours a month. You're talking about millions of education hours. And that is where the scale of business starts coming in. So dollars wouldn't come at a user level. Dollars would come at a continuity level. Dollars would come at a scale. And that is what a typical business should aim to build.
That's great points, Karthik. So is that platform only for India and Pakistan?
No. So it's a pilot stage. We've started with India and Pakistan because that is where the tutors have come in from. Now, as we bring it into the Middle East, we bring it into Southeast Asia, we bring it into Africa. Different regions have different curriculums. Now, for example, if I have to, subcontinent India has 12 curriculums. If I have to adjust the entire learning platform for 12 different curriculums, the permutations that run in the background are very, very diverse. So because subcontinent India and Pakistan have similar curriculum, it was built for that. There will be one more platform which is built primarily for the Middle East. Middle East has a language barrier. Africa, again, has 48 different curriculums across 23 different countries. And the pricing and the bandwidth is a much bigger challenge there, which needs to be addressed differently. So it will have to be a little more localized for different. But yeah, we've started with subcontinent, moving into Middle East.
I think the price points are, I would say, really good.
See, it's
very good. Very affordable.
It's about and I continue to stress on this particular part of the business because this is a need of the hour. If I were to exploit a parent's compulsion at this point by charging him exorbitant fees, he might pay me once, he might pay me twice, but he would be absolutely displeased with my platform. And the moment he finds a cheaper alternative, he will switch because he cannot afford to pay this kind of fees online when what people are charging $40 an hour, $50 an hour, $100 an hour. It's not affordable at a primary education level, especially in certain parts of the world. So the more affordable it is, the better the results would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Yeah. The education has to be affordable to the masses, just not for specific categories of people, as you rightly said. Great. I think we come to the end of the panel. I'd like to take some closing remarks. Fabio, I would like to start with you with your closing remarks for the session.
Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of these sessions, so I'm always glad to be here because I learn a lot. What needs to be done, where the effort needs to be directed, is, as we heard, in the affordable.
Yeah.
The affordable education for the masses, and that means for the I would say public sector, where the ministries or authorities are involved to provide education to a large number of students. The second area, which I mentioned before, is the private education. And there you have a challenge in terms of quality, in terms of originality, in terms of finding areas which are not covered by public education. So to add to standard education and widen the education offering for professionals.
Right.
So that's I think where, as investors, as entrepreneurs, we should devote our activities.
Perfect. Thank you for those closing remarks, Fabio, and we definitely wish to have you back on our forthcoming sessions. Richi, obviously you are looking to scale your business now, and I would strongly urge you to come and meet our investors. What's the closing remarks about the VCTV today? How do you find it?
Yeah, as always, like Fabio said, this is my second time, and I find it very interesting every time I come, meet new people all the time, and I'm looking forward to the next. And I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't do much research on the LA token. We are building the blockchain. Also, I told you last time
Yeah,
that integrate blockchain into that. I don't want to say blockchain because it's a buzzword. Everyone say blockchain all the time. Blockchain here, blockchain there. We are looking at way to integrate the use case into that, and scaling is important because, like Kartik said, is to look to not the value of the company, but how many lives can be touched with the service and the product we build. And so that's what we're looking at now is how to work with many people from different backgrounds and different locations to
great.
see how we can touch more lives. And LA Token probably one of the community where we look into.
Excellent. Thank you, Richi. I mean, you and Kartik are on the same page in terms of touching lives of people. Thank you. Kartik, over to you. The closing remarks, please.
Two things. One is, I think you guys are doing a fabulous job. What you're doing is giving opportunity to a lot of startups who more often than not find themselves at crossroads of where to go and raise the investment or capital from. Over the last few weeks that we've been around, I think we have seen some interesting pitches, especially the one that was last week. I could reach out to Riti and I could connect with and learn about something very innovative that he's trying to do. I think this is a fabulous platform. And once this program reaches out to a lot more people, you would see a lot more budding entrepreneurs willing to take up that plunge and come over, which is from a commercial point of view, obviously there's a dollar involved in it. But from a social point of view, I think you're helping a lot of people. That's one. And I think it's a fabulous initiative. In terms of the space and the business that we are in, it's very, very early. It's like it's a beginning of this entire story. It would unfold in very, very different manners that we have not seen. But primary education, secondary education, college education, executive education, all of them would have completely different shoots and completely different growth trajectories. Executive education already is online with a lot of B schools offering it in online. So it's already there. But it's the primary education which every parent is worried about. So if you're able to make a parent feel comfortable and if you're able to reassure him that your child is learning the right thing, I think you've done a good job. And that's where the industry is moving.
Fantastic. Very good closing remarks from each of the speakers today. And again, thank you so much for your time and sharing, taking the time to share your insights. For those entrepreneurs like Riti who are looking to connect with investors and speakers generally, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help connect. And other investors and speakers who like to contribute in terms of sharing their insights on the panel, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to connect as well.
On this one, Swani, I want to reach out to all the people here. See, generally, I charge a lot of dollars for my help. But on this one, I'm absolutely willing to help free of cost. No money involved because this is one sector which I personally love. So if anybody wants any support on the education, EduTech space, absolutely happy to help free of cost. Absolutely.
So founders and entrepreneurs got it right. Anybody who is looking to reach out to Kartik in terms of getting that initial advice before you can raise a round or some sort of advice, he's available free of cost. You heard that right. So Kartik, where can they find you besides VCTV?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me on my email. They can reach out to me on social media. I'm available everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for those closing remarks. And thank you so much for your time again. And I hope to see you again on another panel, another topic, another day. Until then, please stay safe, stay connected, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.